You're listening to WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem.
Welcome to the Mix Lab with your hosts, Jason Rios and Lefty Hernandez, right here on WHCR 90.3 FM. Join us every Tuesday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. as we showcase DJs, producers, and artists from all over the world. Get the inside track on what they have in store for us, where they'll be playing at next, and when they're dropping that latest upcoming release. Get all of that right here on the Mix Lab with Jason Rios and Lefty Hernandez on WHCR 90.3 FM, the one, the only, the voice of Harlem.
Harlem's own radio station.
Once again, back is the incredible
WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem.
Hey, thank you for tuning into the Mix Lab. This is Jason Rios alongside Lefty Hernandez.
Yes, we are here. We are live, and we've got another great show for you today. We are so excited. I mean, I'm giddy, man. I'm so giddy.
It's a great day today.
Yeah, welcome once again, everybody. It is the Mix Lab every Tuesday starting at 6 p.m. with your host, Jason Rios. I'm Lefty Hernandez, WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem. And today we've got another amazing veteran. Oh, my God, a wonderful guest. Can't wait. I'm not going to waste any more time. Ladies and gentlemen, please.
Before you say his name, you got to say legendary, then his name, right?
Well, I did. Okay. I said legendary, sure.
There we go.
Absolutely. We've definitely an industry professional from the music business. So much history, so much information, so much knowledge, and such a wonderful person. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome in our studio live the legendary David Jurman. Yes. Yeah. Welcome, David. Talk to us.
Thank you so much. Jason, Lem, thank you so much for having me. It's a real honor to be here tonight. Thank you so much.
It is definitely a big
honor. And congratulations on the show. Off to a terrific start. So very, very happy for both of you.
Thank you so much. That's so awesome. Yeah, we are definitely excited about what's been going on here. And it's because of people like you. You were here a few weeks with us with Joey Carvello.
Yep.
But that was Joey's spotlight. But we are back again and here with you, and we cannot wait. So we're just gonna dive right in, man. And and of course we're gonna ask people to call in.
Yeah, feel free to call in anytime you like. 212-650-6903.
Yeah. So, and you know what? As we go on, Jason, I know you've got a lot in your mind. Do you want any starting point or any question that you've got for him at this point?
I want him to warm up first.
You want to warm up? All right.
I tell you one thing. I look at what you've done, man. What you've accomplished, David, and
yeah, Yeah, in this business.
Man, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, man.
So-
unbelievable.
Well, I was very fortunate to work with a lot of terrific artists and a lot of great music at a very, very exciting time for dance music. It was the kind of the post-disco era when it kind of transformed into what now is called dance music. And I was very fortunate also to be at two record companies, Arista Records and Columbia Records, that had a real commitment to dance music. So
Yeah.
I was very fortunate on both those ends.
Yeah, and from my standpoint, when I met you and throughout the years, how professional you are and how you were back then, and you still are, and the information, the knowledge, and you're so today we do networking, right, online and all this stuff, but you did it. You showed up to the clubs, you showed up to the record pools, you showed up to the performances. You had people come to you whatever, and so you're so excellent at doing that. We're gonna talk about that and how. But the one thing I want to do, and thank you for sharing what you just shared, because I wanted to let everybody know, where you come from, or at least how. I got to meet you, and it was the fact that, through this record business. So, of course, today everybody listens to music, and, there are still companies that are putting music out, but there is a difference in the way music is put out today and the companies and the way they were back then. And, of course, a lot of the companies back then, just like film and a lot of other companies, were hardcore, mortar, brick and stone, businesses.
Right.
And the offices, and there was a lot of that going on, and especially in New York City being, the hulk of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But before we get into all of that, I'm so curious, because as long as I know you, I don't know. Tell us a little bit about David Jurman, where you come from, like how did you get in, how did it get to this point, like,
Right.
and how, New York, and just tell us a little bit about you first,
Well, I've always loved music from my childhood. Always was a person also interested in charts and numbers and things like that. I used to get my little surveys at the record store of the different radio station players and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So I always had this just passionate interest in music, but beyond the music, the business side of it. That being said, I wasn't really sure that was going to actually be a career for me, but always had that burning interest in music from a very, very young age. Fast forward, going to college, I got very involved with my college radio station.
Okay.
I went to University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, and got very involved with that. I was a DJ there. I also produced a music show called Artist Profile, where at a very young age, I had a chance to interview and do shows on everyone from Billy Joel to Ozzy Osbourne, all these, different various artists at the time, interviewing them also on the air, Tim Curry, Alice Cooper.
Wow.
And it kind of gave me the bug for the business. And I found out that there's actually people who get paid to go to radio stations and bring records to a radio station and try and get them played.
Go figure, right?
And you could go to record stores and bring these copies there to the record stores and try and get them played in the stores and bring displays. And there are actually jobs that you could do that. And I said, this is something I'd like to do.
That's
I
exciting.
really
It was right up
I'd
your
love
alley.
to do
It was
this,
right up your alley.
Wow.
And through the radio station, I was able to make a lot of connections through the record companies, through the college departments. I was able to get a job right out of college at Arista Records, starting off as a field marketing representative, and then moved into a marketing manager position in the sales department.
So you started?
So I started
out of
actually at
college
Arista Records,
Arista.
right at Arista Records, but not in dance music.
No,
Not
I
in
know,
dance
yeah,
music at the
yeah,
time. And
'cause
this
that's
is
not when
right at the height of the disco era that was happening at the time. I was in the sales department. Was not the dance promoter for these records, but we had a lot of success at the time. Disco Nights by GQ. The song that you open up the show with was a record I was involved with from the sales standpoint.
Yeah.
Don Armando's Rumba Band, which was on Z Records, distributed by Buddha Arista. So we had a lot of Phyllis Hyman, You Know How to Love Me.
You Know How to Love
a lot of
Me.
these records. So I was working those records on the sales side.
Right.
Fast forward, I then get a promotion to work for Arista in Los Angeles. And that's where the whole dance music thing starts to happen, because although I'm in the sales department, on the weekends, I would go to the clubs with our records
Right.
at that time.
So that's how you got in.
And we didn't have at that point in time a dance department or a dance in-house person at that time, because now we're talking the post-disco era.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd go to these various clubs throughout Southern California, bringing our 12 inches around at that time. And Arist Records at that time was very big in the new wave dance music at the time.
That was also
A Flock
starting
of
to happen.
Seagulls,
Yeah.
Heaven 17, the Thompson Twins, In the Name of Love, which,
What a
by the way,
great song.
were huge
That was a
urban
great song,
records here at
Yeah.
the time, actually being played on WBLS.
BLS.
Exactly,
Yep,
yeah.
They were playing that on BLS. I
And
remember
kind of
that.
cut my teeth on dance music through that, going to those clubs and so forth.
Yeah.
And fortunately, I was able to parlay that into a full-time position doing dance music promotion and alternative radio promotion at Arista Records, which brought me back to New York. And soon after coming back to New York into this full-time position of dance music, got a chance to meet you.
Ah.
Yep.
Yeah, what a time that was. So
Yes.
so it's all about timing, right?
Absolutely.
And the blend,
Right.
that's amazing. You know,
Right.
it all happened all at the same time. And going back, of course, being in the industry and realizing at the time, like, what is this music? What's this new sound? Or what are these things? I was in college radio when
Right.
alternative, I was at WBCR. And, the music that I was playing, I was like, what is this? For example, I'll never forget, I had a radio show too, right? And for a long time, I would call out the name of this group until somebody pulled my coat and said, the name of the group is In Excess. And I was like, why? What am I saying? You're saying INXS.
What a man.
Yeah, that's
Hey, it's an honest mistake.
Yeah, but that goes to
Right,
show
right,
because
yeah.
it was something new. But so you went out to California, and prior to all that, and prior to going to college, you said North Carolina?
Yeah, University of
Yeah.
North Carolina, yeah.
But
But I'm a
originally-
native from this area.
there
I
you
grew up
go.
in a little town called Spring Lake, New Jersey, which
Okay.
is about an hour south. Most people know the city of Asbury Park,
Yes.
Bruce
Yeah,
Springsteen land.
Yep.
It's 5 towns south of there. That was my hometown. So basically, New York, New Jersey has always
Yeah.
been my life.
You're a
know.
tri-state
But I am a
guy.
proud New Jerseyan as well, too.
Yeah, yep.
So I love the Garden State. Shoot out to Jersey. But
right,
obviously,
right.
love New York as well, too.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
But that's
I grew up in Spring Lake, New Jersey.
Yeah,
Yep.
you're a tri-state
Yeah,
kid, right? Yeah,
absolutely,
awesome,
yeah,
man.
yeah.
But yeah, so when you brought up to that point, I met you early '80s.
Yes,
yeah.
actually 1983. And we met at that time. I was just starting doing dance promotion at Arista Records. We were kind of cranking back up the dance music at Arista, as I mentioned, with those artists and so forth. And you were involved with the record pool called IDRC. And IDRC used to have Monday feedback nights where the promoters were invited down. Everyone was given maybe 15 or 20 minutes to play their records. I remember Wayne Burgess was the DJ.
Yeah,
and you
Wayne
bring your
Burgess.
records in and so forth.
Yep.
And you get a chance to play the records and get instant feedback.
Right.
The DJs were actually right there to either write down or tell you, what
Yeah.
the record, was the record good? Is the record not good?
Right.
And to your point before about myself and getting out to clubs and record pools, I felt that was so important. You can't do promotion just sitting on a phone in an office. You got to
Right.
get
You're
out
right.
there. You
You're
got to
right.
go in the club. You got to see what's happening.
Right.
You got to go to the record pools. And it was great because I could bring test pressings there. I could report back that, hey, the guy said this is great. The guys say this isn't really great. And I remember going there, and we had a record by an artist named Tom Brown. And if you remember Tom Brown, he had
Yeah.
a huge hit for us on GRPRs called Funkin'
Funkin'
for
for
Jamaica.
Jamaica.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So I was very
That
involved
horn.
with that project
that was a
from the
classic.
sales standpoint. Tom at that time had a record we were promoting called Cruisin', and one of your record pool members actually did the remix, Ted Courier.
Ted Courier.
Ted Courier,
the
right.
the late Ted
And I remember
Courier.
coming the first time down there and playing the record for everyone, and the response was just deafening, just really positive. The guy was saying, get me a copy of this and so forth, and it just made me feel good. And it was great to be able to come back to the company and report, from the record pool,
Yeah.
hey, here's this feedback from the DJs. They're really giving it a thumbs up. We really have something here. The record had become a huge club hit for us.
And it was really immediate. It wasn't like, the record pool get the record on a Friday and they'd have to take it home for the weekend, play it in the clubs, and you wouldn't get that feedback. They'd have to come back until they came to pick up the records again next week. And a lot of times they didn't get to do that, come back every week.
Right.
So their feedback for a record they received sometimes didn't get back to the record pool between 7 to 14 days later. So when you mentioned the fact of the Monday night feedback, how it became so instrumental was because of the fact that not only were they getting a brand new record distributed that very night, they got played that night, and they didn't have to wait to go home to do the feedback. The feedback was done right there immediately, and that's when you guys all the people like you, all the record promoters took advantage of that.
Absolutely.
And you saw the gold mine. You saw the opportunity of sitting in the room with the hit makers.
What was also good was we could actually bring test pressings. We could even bring things that were not released yet to get feedback as well, too. Yeah. So that was great. And then on top of that, you'd meet the various DJs, find out where they would DJ at, and then you could go and visit them, which was always terrific as well,
you had that one-on-one.
Right, exactly.
Get to know where the market and reach out to all the DJs out there.
Right. And what was very special about that record pool was they had a very close relationship with 98.7 KISS. At that time, there were two urban contemporary stations in New York, WBLS, Frankie Crocker at the time, but also a powerhouse was 98.7 KISS FM.
Right.
Yep.
And the logo was always used to be on your charts and your newsletters
Remember
and
that?
so forth. So
There's a call coming in.
they were very close to that station, so they could influence that station through their record pool.
That's right, and everybody recognized too the fact that the tie-in with a New York radio station, a major New York radio station.
Absolutely.
The value of that.
Right.
And the other thing too that you guys you got a call.
Yeah, we got somebody on the line. Who's speaking?
Listen. Hello, you're on the line.
Hello.
Talk to us. Who's this?
This is Johnny Coppola.
Oh
Johnny!
my God!
Hey,
Hey, Johnny, do you remember this? Hey, pay attention. You follow me.
You follow?
You follow. Oh my.
Hi, Kate, yes.
Yeah, you go. Hey, Johnny, welcome to the show, the Mix Lab. I haven't spoken to you
God
in.
bless. I mean, this is great. This is so great. You guys are doing this. Amazing.
Are you out west still?
West is best, baby. I'm in sunny.
Hello, you there?
I'm here.
Oh, I heard a beep. I'm sorry. Go ahead. That's awesome. Yeah, I remember when you left out there, and so we're gonna ask you a couple of things. But who do we have in the studio? You got anything to say to the guest of honor?
Ask away. The guest of honor, Dave Jurman, the coolest cat since Podcast.
Oh, snap.
Johnny. So Johnny Coppola is, for those that know or don't know, Johnny Coppola, another famous DJ up from Boston, right? You follow me?
That's where, I started in Boston. Yeah.
Yep. And just to bring people up to speed too, David Jurman was at Columbia Records. Did you follow David at Columbia? You were also head of.
I was a DJ. Dave and I were friends because I was producing some songs here and there, and I was actually trying to get into the record business.
Right.
And Dave and I became fast friends, actually.
Right. Yeah.
I did play all his records because I was a Billboard reporter as well.
I remember that too. You being a reporter. Yeah, you're.
And then Dave actually hired me to come to Columbia Records to do dance promotion.
Yep, I remember that as well too. I think I was over at Best Performance, but go ahead. With Rich Wyman when you were there.
One of my pals.
You're awesome. And Johnny Coppola, am I correct to say you're still a performing artist yourself? You do. Is that right?
Yeah, I produce some records, but I play at the Mandalay Bay, the Foundation Room. I have a quintet, quartet, depends on the evening, but
right.
I do standards and original songs in a kind of a tribute to the late 50s and early 60s.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Rat Pack poetry involved, and like I said, original songs, but the great old standards, the Great American Songbook, Johnny
I love it.
Mercer,
Yeah.
Cole Porter, Duke Ellington, the whole
big
thing.
Big band stuff too, right? Big band and
it's all it's cool. Yeah,
that
if
is so
anybody ever
awesome.
Want to listen, just Google me and go to Pandora or Spotify or whatever.
We do, and I'm going to grab your information after this as well. But what I want to do right now is, because you're on the phone and David is here in the studio, I want you guys to kind of go back and forth with some of the history that we've got going on right here, so that let the people know where you guys come from and what you've done at the label. So you and David got a lot of history, so what, David, you guys take it away.
Let me say this. First off, about Johnny's music, I really urge you to check it out. I mean, we're talking about here in Aris, who's actually been played on Sirius XM, on Sirius Sinatra. That's how well accepted his music is.
Yeah.
And performing at one of the top venues in Las Vegas, which is really tremendous. We'll talk about Columbia Records stuff, and I will say that a lot of this music doesn't happen if not for the promotional efforts of Johnny Coppola,
he was great.
Who is the National Dance Promoter of the Year at the Winter Music Conference.
Right. I remember that too. I think I was there down in Miami, right?
Right. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
His accolades speak for themselves. And we'll start off with, which we both had the good fortune of being involved with, the biggest selling dance album of the 1990s. And I'll ask Johnny to talk about Gonna Make You Sweat by CNC Music Factory, which debut album did 4 million copies.
Amazing.
Well, and here's the funny story about that, Dave. When Larry Yarsgarp and David Cole and Robert Clavillis came in the office and played it for me, I lost my mind because I knew it was a hit right away.
Right.
And I don't know if you remember, but there were things called ceramic cassettes. In other words, it was mastered to that ceramic cassette as well. So anyway, I said, listen, you got to give me a copy of this because I'm sending it to my mix show guys that across the country that are going to just lose their grip when they hear this. And I did. So what I did was I made several copies, and I'll never forget this. I sent it to Marco Navarro.
Marco Navarro.
Yes.
Down in Tampa.
Who later on worked for Atlantic Records, but he was the mix show DJ down at the Power Pig in Tampa. Jeff Capucci was the, I think, the music director of program. Yes, he was the music director. So I sent it to him right away. He put it on the air. He played it like 5 times that night. And he said the call came in, and the next week, I'll never forget being on our conference call, that the play from that just on the mix show and some of the early rotations of the pop crossover stations went up over 600%.
Wow.
And I'm like, what is going on? And I ran to the Roxy one night with the first test pressing, and I brought it to Mark Kamen.
Yeah, good old Mark.
Mark's in there playing records. I'm in the booth. And Mark, you got to listen to this. He says, okay, Johnny, let's go. Puts it on the turntable. And I'll never forget this as long as I live because he was in the middle of a record that was probably about 130 beats a minute, 135 beats a minute.
Yeah.
Well, he cranked that thing on that 1200 like you read about. I think he had it pegged all the way. But it still sounded great. The dance floor went absolutely bananas.
I just visioned that.
Okay, how many copies can I get of this now? And I said, well, this is your only one, buddy. But the response was bananas, and I'll never forget Donnie Einer, the president of the company. Looked at me one day. I was in my office, and he looked at me and he said, number one record? I says, of course it's the number one record. He says, no, I mean across the board. He gave me that look, and I said, Donnie, whatever you say. Yeah, okay, sure. It's the number one record. And, of course, it was.
Absolutely.
That is.
Absolutely.
Johnny,
and an album that just, went through the roof.
Yeah.
And wasn't a one-hit wonder. You know, things that make you go, you know, all these other follow-ups were big hits as well, too. Really and then, of course, we were at the DJ Times Expo where they did their first ever performance, which was fantastic. Which was great. In Atlantic City.
That's right, DJ Times.
Incredible.
The convention.
One thing we prided ourselves as a department was, yes, we were the dance department. We worked all different formats of music. So we were very, very heavily involved in promoting the hip-hop artists as well, too. The dance-oriented rock artists. And there's one project that I really think if it wasn't for Johnny, this group wouldn't really broke through. I'm not going to say they weren't a priority, but they weren't on everyone's lips. But Johnny single-handedly took this project and just ran with this project, and the group is called Third Base on the Def Jam label, and made that project happen.
Unbelievable.
Well, Def Jam was also new to the label.
They came around 86
to
the label, so about year 3. And part of the things that Johnny and I were involved with were Mama Said Knock You Out, LL Cool J, Public Enemy, 911 Was a Joke, and all those, Fear of a Black Planet. We had some huge Def Jam success, but those are established artists, and we just helped build on those careers. But Third Base were unknowns. And even at the label weren't necessarily talked about because they were in the shadow of Public Enemy and LL Cool J and Orange Juice Jones, all these kind of people. But Johnny, if you can talk about Third Base and what you did with that, I mean, it's truly a remarkable story.
That is so awesome.
I loved the whole record, and I thought it was beautifully produced. And Search and Pete, I mean, Search is a great rapper. I mean, I took him out for a dinner one night. I had 20 people at the table. And I'll never forget the fact that he rapped about every single person at that table and didn't miss a beat. And it was like at the end of it, everybody's going, "This happened," and they're clapping. It was hilarious. But no,
amazing.
he was terrific, and they really wanted the success. You know, it wasn't like, oh, I'm driven to be this or that. No, they were purists as far as the music was concerned. You know, they got together with Sam Sever. It was a whole new vibe as far as, you know, you had two white rappers now that sounded as black as anybody else.
Right. That's amazing.
You know what I mean?
That was so
was
awesome.
right in the pocket, and they were doing what everybody could respect and love because the songs, that was great. I mean, you know, that MC Hammer satire was
Pop Goes the Weasel.
hysterical.
Right.
Yeah, the Pop Goes the Weasel because the Weasel goes pop.
And the Weasel goes pop, yeah.
You know, when people got a hold of that video, it was like, all right, let's go. Clear the decks, here we go. And I would not stop promoting it on radio, and we got it because there were a handful of real great crossover stations at the time that really were on the leading edge of playing the best hip hop records. You know, it wasn't you know, they wanted to be at the tip of the spear. You know, stations like PGC in DC. You had Camel in San Francisco. Let's see who else we had. We had the old station in Boston. I think it was JMN.
Yes, Jammin'.
JMN.
Yep.
JMN was. They were all over it.
Yep.
But CKZ in Charlotte also was another real leader, and so as well as KSFM in Sacramento. But those people really got behind that record, and when they got research, because you remember, if a song didn't research with the audience, they dropped it quicker than
Right,
potato.
right, and that was a big thing. Research was a big part of our days in music promotion.
Absolutely, and this record came back, 5 stars. So it was just okay, and what I'm thinking of next is what's the next single?
Right.
So, but and I got to tell you a funny story about Search and Pete.
A funny story of who?
Search and Pete.
If you guys don't mind.
No, we definitely don't. I definitely want to.
For those of you who just joined, this is the Mix Lab with Jason Rios, Lefty Hernandez. We have special guest David Jurman in the studio, and we have Johnny Coppola on the phone. So you guys don't change the dial. You got to stay tuned.
The history is real, and it's amazing, and it's wonderful. And Johnny, and I'm gonna share a few things after your story too about a thing or two that you tapped, you talked about. So go ahead. I'm curious about this story.
So we're going out to Philly to dinner with some salespeople and a couple of mix show guys, and we didn't take the train down. We took a limo. And we went straight down to Philadelphia, did our thing. I think it was Tower, Dave?
Yeah, Tower on South Street. Yep.
That's it, in Center City. Right?
And King Britt was the 12-inch buyer there.
Center City.
That's right. He was with us, right. King and a couple other, Gino Caporali. Anyway, that's not name drop. So we get there.
I remember Gino.
We do our thing. We have a great dinner. Everybody's happy. The in-store was a huge success. People are asking me for my autograph. I'm like, I'm not with the band. They said, yes, you are. So I said, okay, yeah, here you go. And I signed the paper. So anyway, we're driving back to New York. I fall asleep in the limo. So I'm like, I get woken up, and they're like, Johnny, we're going into this men's club. And I'm like, what are we doing? What? I said, no, I got to get back. I got to get back to work tomorrow. They're like, no, don't worry about it. It's only 11:30. Like 11:30? We left at 11. There's no way it could be 11:30. I mean, we're in Jersey. And anyway, we go into the strip club, having a good time. We walk out. The sun hits me in the eyes. Those bastards, when I fell asleep, they turned back my wristwatch.
Oh.
So when I looked at the watch, we got time for a drink. So needless to say, I was late for work the next day, Dave.
That is a funny story.
Completely understandable.
That is a great story.
Search and Pete and Daddy Rich.
What's that?
That was Search and Pete and Daddy Rich.
There you go.
Pranksters.
Awesome.
Pranksters. Lyrical gangsters.
You're amazing, Johnny. I wanted to let people know again, so yeah, we are here at the Mix Lab, WHCR 90.3, the voice of Harlem. Every Tuesday, the Mix Lab with Jason Rios. I'm Lefty Hernandez. Wonderful guest, David Jurman, in the studio with us. On the phone, another amazing, surprising guest, DJ. So it's Johnny Coppola. And I wanted to let everybody know. So I met you. You were still a DJ when I met you. You were a DJ up in Boston. And I think there was a convention up in Boston.
Yeah, the National Dance Music Awards were held with the Boston Record Pool and New England DJ Association.
Right, and that's why I was up there, and that's where I met you. And I gotta let everybody know what an amazing, humble, straight up person you are. And being up there, and me, a novice and all this, and with all these pros, and you just said, no matter what, or you said, you had me under your wing. You were like, come on, and you took me everywhere. Don't worry, I got you. And you're that guy, And then later on, you became, the director at Columbia Records as well. So that was so exciting. And I wanted to tap into the fact that as DJs, all these, so much music is out there. But back to the CNC Music Factory, I'm gonna make you sweat. That there comes along always there's a song that is just one of those phenomenal hits, and timing is everything, and that was one of them.
No question.
And in my case, besides knowing you and working the record and all that stuff, I was with 23 West, and they were managed by Barbara over there. Anyway, yes. And I knew, of course, Barbara very
Pace.
well. Barbara Pace, exactly. And so we were working it. And to let you know, on my wall, my first platinum record hanging on my wall is Gonna Make You Sweat.
Great.
CNC Music.
Love it.
Yeah, so that thank you, man, and David, and thank you guys, man. But you are an awesome, and I used to see you a lot up at Best Performances, up with Rich Wyman, and again, like David, the kind of guy that goes out there. You called everybody, you reached out to people, you went and to see the people, and
well, that's what you do, buddy. And not to interrupt you, but to be honest with you, trying to get into the record business was not easy. Some people fall into something, they catch a break, timing is everything,
right.
And, whatever. But the real reason is because when I was plugging away and sending songs to different labels, et cetera, Dave would come to my club when I wasn't a Billboard reporter.
Yep.
When I wasn't anybody that anybody took notice of, and he'd watch the crowd, he'd listen, and we'd talk music, and we were friends way before. So, it's the kind of guy like that the business needs more of, and to be honest with you, I kind of modeled myself after Dave. There was no stone unturned. If somebody was good and somebody deserved a little recognition rather, or a look-see, that this guy could be somebody special here and there, it's worth the investment, because guess what? The investment costs you nothing.
Right, it pays off. Yeah,
absolutely.
And I'll vouch for the fact that even though, you did follow David and that formula and standard and, and the idolizing situation, but you already had that. You were a knack. When I met you, you were already that guy, and it wasn't no big eye, or little, it wasn't about, grandioso. You would just, it didn't matter who it was. You'd step up, and you was like, come on, and it's still to this day. You're on the phone and I can hear it, man. That's still you, man.
Another project you talk about.
Yes.
Let me tell you something. There's a title track. Not a title track. There's a cut on my second album called "A Shot to the Kisser," and it's called "Somebody's Gotta Be That Guy."
There it is. We're gonna look it up. Yeah, Jason, we got a lot of homework to do, man.
I'm telling you,
we got homework to do. So, Johnny, Jason Rios. To give you a little back on him, Jason Rios. I met Jason here in New York. We did some clubs here in New York, doing some events, the weeknight events, spinning, and we just clicked. And Jason had this radio show here that we're sitting at here tonight, and he's had it for a number of years. He asked me to come aboard, and Jason is a great guy, another just another one of us, another one just like you, and humble and whatever I can do to help somebody out, the next one. So we're still alive, man. And I keep telling David, we got to reinvent this business of ours. And you know what? You got to keep us posted. I'm going to definitely stay close with you, your itinerary, what you're doing and where you're at and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Because if we don't keep this going, if we don't keep this alive, it's going to fade out, and it's going to fade out fast, and no one's going to even know that we even existed. So, definitely, Johnny, I'm happy you're on. I wish you were here in the studio.
I was thrilled when I found out about this. So are you kidding? Just go forever. Are you kidding me?
Awesome, man. So we're on every Tuesday.
You got to let us know when you're in town.
Yeah, you got to let us know when you're in town. We're on every Tuesday. Yes, sir.
I tell you what, when I'm in town, I'll be there with Dave. We'll bring a headphone, some Elmer's glue, so I can put a couple of records together, and we'll just cut it up. Are you kidding?
That's awesome. No, and the truth is that the show. Jason's show. This is the Mix Lab. Jason created this, and the original formula is he'd have a DJ come in for a few minutes. They talk it up, but then they go right on to the ones and twos, and they play. So absolutely, you come on in when you're in New York, and we get you. Listen, if you're not going to spin, you're going to sing.
I'm down. Let me ask you guys a question. Are you still using turntables, or are you using the electronics?
Yes and yes.
We do have turntables in the studio. We're in a mix of getting that together, but we're going to be having CDJs here.
Yeah,
and people bringing their controllers.
Yeah. So we do it. Listen, you know what? Pay attention. You follow me. When you're
follow you.
Yeah, I love this guy. When you're a DJ, you know that you got to keep up, with the changes, with the technology, and I love the shirt that says everyone's a DJ until you put a pair of these and you see the two turntables on their shirt. You're like, nobody knows what to do with it. Yeah, don't you just love that? So. I love it. Awesome, Johnny. You've been amazing, man. We need another show just for you.
Listen, God bless you guys. And look, reach out anytime. Dave's got all my info. And please, if you ever get to Vegas, you will get the royal treatment, and I do mean that.
Awesome.
Nice.
But are you? But you're living on the West Coast or in Vegas? You're living in Vegas?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. We'll definitely put that on the map. But Johnny, thank you so much for calling in, man.
You got it.
Thank you, Johnny.
Johnny, thanks for calling in.
Blessings.
Thanks a lot.
I'll reach out to you.
Pally.
Okay, buddy.
Thanks, Johnny.
Another artist. Say, what's done in Vegas stays in Vegas, all
right? Not in this case. That was
another
amazing.
Artist that Johnny was very involved with. I like to talk about him only because today's his birthday, and we all, before we went on the air, we called and wished him happy birthday, and that is George Lamond.
Right.
That's right. Yeah, he was just on. Too bad we didn't grab him right before the show, right at the point where the show started, because it was like literally right before the show went on, right?
I know.
We had him on the phone. So again, for all you that are listening or just tuning in, you are on the Mix Lab with your wonderful host, Jason Rios. I'm Lefty Hernandez, and I'm so blessed that he asked me to be a part of this, because it's things like this that is so exciting. Right here, WHCR 90.3 FM. And we had a call earlier because of David, who's in the studio with us, David Jurman, amazing professional. And he said, hold on, I got to make a call. And he called out, and he called George Lamond. And for those that know George Lamond, I'm sure you do. All right. Another amazing, wonderful performing artist, a lot of great music. And thanks to David, we all got to wish him a happy birthday. So tell us more, David, now that we're talking about George Lamond. Let's talk a little about that.
George is in the history book.
You tell us what you want to tell us. This is you.
He's in the history books. George is the first male solo artist to ever have 3 top 5 Billboard dance hits off a debut album. No artist had ever had that before,
do you believe
which is
this?
an amazing thing considering how much talent has come along. But he actually was signed to a label called Lagosa Records, a label headed up by Chris Barbosa, the late Chris Barbosa, may he rest in peace, and Mark Leggett, with a song called Bed of the Heart that came out. Right. And I was at a club.
Jason, sing, Jason. No. Bed of the Heart.
My throat hurts.
And I was at a club called La Mirage on the Bronx on Fordham Road. And saw him perform and heard that record. And I said, wow. And I just joined Columbia. and was just knocked out by it. I was always a Liggett Barbosa fan. I always thought that Shanna Let the Music Play is one of the most groundbreaking records of all time. So, certainly had a lot of respect for them. But knowing that and then seeing George perform, the dynamism of his performance, not to mention certainly a very strikingly good-looking person as well, too, but also as a great singer. He was the complete package. Yeah. We signed him to Columbia. To a 12-inch deal. The first 12-inch was a song you love, called "Without You."
My favorite song, "Without You," by George Lamont on Columbia Records.
Was a very groundbreaking record in the standpoint that it had like strings in it.
It was orchestral.
Exactly.
It was amazing.
Kind of an orchestral dance record in freestyle the time. Which was quite, gave it a really fresh sound. And through that, we were able to get the option for the album. Did the album. The second single, we re-released Bad at the Heart because it was strictly just a record on Lagosa, just a minor club hit at the time.
Right.
We brought it to become an actual top 40 pop smash.
Right, it became, it went to radio.
Right.
It actually hit radio
a national hit.
That's
amazing. For him or whatever.
Yeah.
And then we had another hit right after that on the club charts, Look Into My Eyes.
Look Into My Eyes. Yeah, I love that.
And George now, he's called the king of freestyle. I mean, there's no male artist who's had that kind of success from that genre to date.
Right.
But he's more than that. He's an artist who's done very well with Latin crossover. If you listen to his debut album, he's got beautiful ballads on there as well. So he's really a multi-dimensional artist. What really makes me happy to this day is seeing George all these years later still having a thriving career, still performing out there. He just performed with Tito Nieves at the State Theater.
He collaborates well with a lot of different artists.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I got to tell you, there's so many great memories I have working with George. One that really sticks out was he opened up for New Kids on the Block at the height of their popularity.
Also on
as the opening act.
On
Columbia Records. Yeah, I was involved with them as well, too.
Wow.
And I remember them playing Jones Beach Amphitheater, 10,000 people there. And, opening acts, you don't know how they're going to really go over. George went over like gangbusters, that New Kids on the Block. And to hear 10,000 kids singing Bad of the Heart, the hair stands up my arm to this day.
Exciting.
That's the excitement about being in the record business. When you finally see that record explode on the dance floor, when you see that artist with the record you're promoting, seeing an audience really, as I was mentioning with George Lamont, singing every word or whatever.
Yeah.
It's a tremendous high, that no drug, nothing can give you when you're a record promoter, when you're a record executive. And that was what George was all about. And just an incredible performer, but also a fantastic, humble human being who gives back to others. And I'm just so happy to see him thrive to this day and perform and do as well as he continues to do. He just did he actually has a new record out right now. If you remember a song called Shattered Dreams by Johnny Hates Jazz.
Johnny Hates Jazz, another favorite.
Right.
That was a
George
song
just
for
did
me.
Check It Out. He did a fantastic remake of it that has kind of a Lagosa Barbosa feel to it,
Didn't he do? I just thought about it. He did
George
Barabbas Woman? Did he?
George Lamont?
George Lamont. He did it with Louis Vega. Woman.
There may have been a house track.
Yeah, with the house track.
Did he? Yeah.
It's amazing. When I saw it, I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And I had to play it back to make sure.
George is another amazing person, multi-talented. But I wanna kind of summarize and bring a couple of things that you hit on was the fact that so again, timing is everything, right? So you're up in the Bronx, you go into the club, you see this kid perform. So you signed George.
Right.
Yes, you were responsible for George. So and I want the importance of that, right? So and again, it's a time when freestyle wasn't really recognized as sort of like a big genre, but I mean it was happening big in the it was the club. That was actually the club sound.
Yes.
So it was definitely the dance track and everybody. We didn't know it was freestyle or whatever. It had that, overall, heading, but nevertheless it was the sound of the time.
Right.
And so it was happening all over and you hear it and you sign. And I got to tell again our listeners that you went in as a promoter, saw something that had, definitely, a future. And you took them back to the label and you signed them. And to this day, George Lamond is a worldwide international, success. He's an artist. He's, and this is the importance of what we're doing here today. Is like, what you're telling us, so you signed him and he's an amazing. So for example, if you had not signed him, had you not brought him on, we wouldn't know who George Lamond is and all the history and all the music that was created from that point on.
Well, Bad of the Heart was actually released under the moniker Loose Touch. But I felt important. We need to give a face to this music and focus in on, who the singer is, who the artist is. But if you have the original record in Lugosi, it says Loose Touch.
I remember that.
But George took the Loose Touch concept with his dancers, that they were called the Loose Touch dancers.
Mm-hmm.
And, talking about our connection with George, when he first came to Columbia, one of the first things, again, that I did was bring him down to the record pool. At that time was RPBC,
right.
Because, again, it started with the DJs and with the clubs. It wasn't like he just went automatically onto Z100.
No, that's absolutely right.
So, again, you and the DJs were responsible for breaking him because it started there. And I remember him coming down to the pool and hanging out with Eddie Rivera and everyone. And I think there was the pool and the DJs really felt very proud when George broke through because they really saw what role they played with him, more so than other artists. It's one thing if you are a DJ and you break through with an artist who's maybe from the UK or whatever, but here's one of your own, a local New Yorker, you've met the guy, and you're now seeing the artist blossom, and it's thanks to record pools like RPBC that George broke.
Yeah, it was a great time, and the record pool and the history, and that alone is a show in itself. But you are so pivotal, and to this day, and I want to go back to that later. We want to talk about the fact that how the DJ and the importance, because today it's a struggle, right? Today, so many DJs and the importance of still breaking music, but it definitely is a different market, and so someday we got to kind of all get together and wrap our head around of how to continue that tradition, because that's the importance of that. And Loose Touch, George Lamond, I remember that, and Chris Barbosa on the label. But so what you're saying also too is that you were pivotal in the development of George Lamond as a solo artist, because the group was Loose Touch,
right?
But yet you said, no, you know what, we need to bring him up into the forefront of being the face of the song or the hits of the time, and that was,
And I will say this: it was a team effort. It was George, it was Mark, it was Chris, Liggett and Barbosa, it was Johnny. A lot of Coppola, a lot of people were involved with this whole framing of the record and so forth.
Awesome.
And I'll tell you, he's not as big as these artists, but if you say to J-Lo, if you say to Mark Anthony, if you say Ricky Martin, they all know George. They have tremendous respect for him.
Right.
These superstars of Latin crossover all know George.
Yeah.
And Daisy Fuentes, all of them know George and have the utmost respect for him. And I think that's also a sign of greatness. When you are respected by your peers and looked as one of them among them, I think that's the ultimate, for an artist.
Absolutely.
And George has that.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely does. And so my experience in music, I was at a short time, I was with Ralph Mercado at RMM Records.
Sure.
And George Lamond was also brought into, and that's when, Latin and the crossover, and he also became a performing Latin artist. And he's amazing because his range of his vocal range, was able to do that. It's not easy.
Absolutely.
If you're singing in one genre, and then to do a different genre, and now it's in different language too as well.
Very few people do that.
That's right. That's right. And that's why the importance. And again, Jason, I thank you all the time for a show like this that allows us to express and inform and to bring, wonderful pros like David Jurman right here, and to give us, because there's still a lot of stuff even tonight. As long as I know David, there's still a lot of stuff that I'm learning tonight.
What I noticed about David, he doesn't. He you said it in one of your interviews. You said it's not a job, it's a living, it's a way of life.
Yeah,
it's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle.
Exactly. Yeah.
When you're having fun,
and you're working hard, you're working long hours, you're not leaving the office till the evening time, but you're not sitting there saying, oh boy, I can't wait to get home.
Exactly.
Right.
Is this really hard, calling a DJ and talking about music all day? And yes, you were there to promote your records, but we would talk about other records too. I would say I love Delight. They weren't on air, they were on Elektra. But I like to believe that I had respect because people saw my passion for the music as well too.
Right. Yeah.
I remember, loving Skipworth and Turner and all these other records that were not on my label at the time, and telling people about those records. And I think that infectiousness really showed through or whatever. And it wasn't hard because that's how I really felt, That's how I really felt about the music, I felt, as I said, I felt blessed to work for a label that supported it, but also blessed to be in an industry where there was so much great music not only come out on our labels, but on the other labels as well too.
Right.
I remember one time, Roger Sanchez told me one time, he goes, when you love what you do, it's no longer work.
That's right. Absolutely.
I always carry that with me. I'm like, people tell me, don't you get tired of searching for music, playing, lugging equipment? The body gets tired, but there's something behind it, like it just sparks something, and it's like I get on fire sometimes, and I'm like,
right.
And I find all this energy. My girlfriend, sometimes she loves it too. My girlfriend just started DJing, and you met her at the club, when we did Joey Carvello, and there are times that I'm ready to set up. I'm setting up, and some of the people don't come. It's like when you're setting up, nobody shows up, so you wind up doing it by yourself. David, she grabs equipment, she grabs speakers, she's grabbing it, and she's getting in there. She's getting her hands.
I went to one of your gigs, and at wrapping it up, and nobody, and I chipped in. I went and I grabbed the generator. I'm carrying the generator to the truck, and she goes, "Give me." And I go, "No, I got it." She goes, "No, I got it." And I was like, "No," I was like, "Rhythm." I was like, "I got it." She said, "Let it go."
Yeah, that's dedication. And now she's DJing, so now we're gonna have a problem this year.
Yeah, really, that's gonna be fun.
She's gonna be on fire.
So once again, everybody, you're tuned into the Mix Lab. Your host Jason Rios. I'm Lefty Hernandez with our wonderful, amazing, great guest right here today, David Jurman. We talked about your time at Columbia Records, but then there's also the time at Arista Records, and I have to bring that up because of the fact that Arista had so many great artists. You signed a group that you're going to tell us about, but there's also a world famous artist, and again, the big, those. There's a lot of music, but then you've got that phenomenal wonder, that is like a lifetime, success, and whether they're here with us or not, continuous. And first, tell us about who I'm talking about, right. So tell us about your time at Arista, and again, I'm trying to cover as much ground, right? We want to cover as much ground as we can,
sure.
And we also want to let you just tell us whatever you want to tell us that's really important. And I've got pictures here. You talked about Skipworth and Turner. I'm looking for the photos. I've got all these photos I just happened to find as I'm revamping the studio at home, and I was like, oh my goodness. So, but you tell us while I look.
Sure. Well, he's talking about, and I was very fortunate to be one of the promotion people and part of the marketing team for who became the biggest female artist of the 1980s, Whitney Houston, and the 1990s when I was at Columbia, Mariah Carey.
Whitney Houston.
But
ladies
you're
and
talking
gentlemen,
specifically here about Whitney Houston.
I definitely am.
And, what can you say about this, being part of just one small part of it? Because obviously I was just, involved on the club promotion side, but, an artist who at that time had the biggest debut selling album by any female in the history of music, and then equaled that, her first album was called Whitney Houston, and then equaled that with the next album, Whitney, with probably her hallmark song, I Want to Dance with Somebody, off of that album. Was really, really special. So obviously she continued to have huge success after that. I was involved, though, with those first two projects. Whitney Houston album, that came out in 1987, and then 85, and then 1987 was the album Whitney that came out.
Right.
Yeah. So it was fantastic.
Such an artist.
I don't remember if you brought it to, because I know you went around with a couple of artists. I don't remember Whitney was one of them that you brought to the pool. Because she was very young.
Yes. Yeah. No. Unfortunately, I didn't. But I did remember she showcased right before her album came out at Sweetwater's, which was at that time a showcase R&B cabaret club on the West Side. I remember a lot of the people from the dance music I invited down just to see her even before her record came out,
right.
Which was something we wanted to do to let people know about this artist that we were developing. And we certainly hope we were going to have success, but to have the biggest selling debut album by any female artist, no one can predict that,
right?
Just nobody can really expect that to happen. And that's exactly what happened. And a global success not only in the United States, but all around the world.
Yeah, she's amazing. And of course, her mom,
Sissy
Houston. And I remember that in the early days of disco, she had her, early stuff. And of course, Sissy Houston goes, prior to that,
right,
to the, 50s and 60s and, the jazz and R&B. And so it's just phenomenal. I mean, to this day, I hear it, Whitney, and I get emotional simply because of the fact that that was such an amazing talent, and so blessed and so unique, and so and to this day. But you've definitely been there. There was you got more on that, or
well, I will say this. I told you earlier on how I loved as a kid, getting the charts and so forth, and I'm just big on. There was a column called Chart Beat in Billboard that I used to read all the time. And I'm just so interested in chart numbers and records and all this kind of stuff. And I'm kind of that same way with sports as well, too, with sports teams.
So you like the analytics?
So very much so, very much so. So any kind of statistic that's associated with an artist really intrigues me. And I'm always very interested in that. Whitney, the first single was just more of an R&B song called You Give Good Love. But after that, she had a consecutive run, which had never happened in the record business. The Beatles, no one had done 7 #1 Hot 100 singles in a row.
That's right.
So that was pretty special, too, for someone like myself who loves stats and things like that to say, hey, I was involved with an artist who had 7 consecutive #1s.
So
was pretty cool.
Under your belt, 7 consecutive #1s off an album, right?
Yes.
And that was
through 2 albums.
Through 2 albums,
right,
while you were at Arista Records.
Yes, right.
On Columbia Records, George Lamont and George as the artist. What was his?
George is the first male artist to ever have 3 top 5 Billboard dance hits off of a debut album in the history of the record business.
And you're a part of this history too, because you're the background.
Well, I like to say it's really the music.
No, I get it, but you understand.
I was part of that project, as was John and others.
He's so humble. He's so humble. He's so he won't like everybody. The fact that you that's how pivotal you are and you were back then, and so that is amazing. And we talked about Whitney Houston, and while we're talking about Whitney Houston, I realized the fact that you invited us. And when I was with Eddie Rivera at the Record Pool, you invited us to another release album.
Yes.
And there was another artist who now is on your label, and she comes from the days of Motown. And this was when she was now on your label.
Right.
Who's Zoomin' Who?
Yes.
So tell us about this artist.
So he's talking about Aretha Franklin. Arista, we had such a great run in the 80s with Dionne Warwick. Aretha Franklin, obviously Whitney breaking through, Phyllis Hyman, a wonderful unsung artist who sadly passed away a few years ago, Angela Bofield.
Oh, yes.
We were very much the home for a lot of great R&B singers at the time. What was special about Aretha was, obviously we know about Aretha with all her great success in the 60s and early 70s, but her career started to tail off.
Right.
And then she got signed to Arista Records. And Clive Davis, the brilliant record person that he is, not only just a record leader, but someone who's able to find songs and develop artists, which he did with Whitney, finding all those great hits and everything, did the same thing with Aretha. And before you knew it, 1985, #1 hit with Freeway of Love.
She blew up.
Blew up huge. And all of a sudden is now a big star all again. Follow up, Who's Zoomin' Who? Another monster hit. Fast forward a year later, her next album comes out, Aretha. And we had a big release event for that. Lem and a bunch of other people from the dance music community were at that, at Sylvia's in Harlem, where we launched an album release at Sylvia's Harlem. It was radio,
it was
club,
beautiful. It was amazing.
Like that.
And that was the picture. Yep, I have it here. And you have it. I don't know if you have it. The picture you took before. Can you pop that up at all? I don't know if you can. And here's the picture. You know what? I'm gonna do this and put it on the camera. I just want to get you back on the screen and make sure that I can see it and see what I'm doing. So here we go. This is. Can you see that there? I don't know if.
I'm trying to get the.
You do that. I'll put this up on the screen.
That's at Sylvia's in Harlem.
Here we go.
So
I got it.
Can you see that? There you go. I'm gonna bring it in closer. There it is. So I was invited to this party, and for me it was very exciting. Besides, the food was amazing. We're talking about Sylvia's, historic Sylvia's in Harlem on 126th, between 125th and 26th.
Yep.
Is that Malcolm X? I think, or is that?
I think it is.
Malcolm X, right? and I'm in there, and David, is there. Of course, this is his party for this new release just talked. And in this picture, we have all the directors, many of the directors of the record pools of back in the day in New York City, and this was amazing. And I don't know if you could see this.
Put it down. Put it. Yeah? I got you on one side.
And, there it is. Okay, so why don't you tell us the people who are in here? Can you see that? Here. I'm just here. That's exactly what they're seeing on the screen.
It's a combination of trade people and also record pool people. So one record pool director is Bill Rickett, who had a record pool called Rickett's Records.
He's
in
the one
New Jersey,
squatting down
far left.
Mm-hmm.
Then from Billboard magazine was Kathy Gillis, who was smiling. Then yours truly with a lot longer hair at the time. Okay.
Yeah, David had long hair. I remember that.
Then to my right is Gene Soterius. There was a record pool in Queens called the Real Record Pool, REE Record Pool.
Double E, right.
Double E. Right, and then, of course, Lem, representing at that time IDRC.
Which is in front of me.
Right. And then to his left is the first program director of the first dance music station since the heyday of KTU, Joel Salkowitz at Hot 103.
It was Hot 103.
Which had just started at that time, because of the flourishing of dance music. It was starting to bubble up from the clubs in the 80s. Created that station. It really helped fuel that station in many respects.
Joel's another amazing person to bring in, too. He still has also two online, Pulse 87, but we'll talk about that later.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Then two just very, very special people, and may they rest in peace. They just were so supportive, as you were, Lem, in doing so much, not only just for my records, but all the records and the R's and everything. Bobby Davis from the Shore Record Pool, which is up in the Bronx.
In the Bronx.
So we had a lot of the key clubs in the Bronx. And then in the middle is Eddie Rivera, who founded IDRC and RPBC. And in between them is Sharon Russell from Billboard magazine as well, too.
Yep.
So it was just a wonderful night. And I'm so, to this day, grateful to these people, for the support they gave, not just for Aretha, but for all the artists there. That album, by the way, spawned I Knew You Were Waiting, which was a gigantic smash.
What
he
a
did with
great
George
song.
Michael.
With George Michael.
Was on that album.
Yeah. And it's still today, you still hear it.
You still hear it. I walk through a mall and I still hear it. It's amazing. It's maybe one of her biggest recurrent records, along with Respect and so forth.
We got another call. But that song you still, like here in New York, CBS FM is, New York's greatest hits. And you'll still hear it.
Yeah, incredible.
Who's on the phone? We got somebody?
Yeah, we got someone online. Hello?
It's Laurie Miller.
From Expose.
Oh my God, Laurie!
Your timing's perfect.
we have yet to talk about Expose, so this is a perfect transition. Hi, Laurie. Welcome to the Mix Lab.
Hi, thank you.
You're so awesome. I haven't seen Laurie since the days of the record pool, but you're on. So it's you and David. So you guys take over. Welcome.
Well, one of the first memories I have of you guys was. The record pool IDRC used to do these, which I thought was wonderful, not just from a promotional standpoint, but just from a giving back community standpoint. They used to do things called Saturday cleanup shows.
Remember that?
And basically, they would go into neighborhoods, whether it was in the Bronx, Brooklyn, Harlem, and basically they would get with the neighbors and just say, listen, we're going to clean up the whole neighborhood. Here's the garbage bags, everything, let's clean up. Let's make this block really nice. And then you're going to get a show.
We'll put on a show.
We're going to actually put a show. They had a flatbed truck with a huge stage there.
Oh, I remember this.
And artists would go and perform or whatever.
I think I have.
So for us, it was a great, great promotional tool to be able to get our artists out there, again, working the record pool, which had the strong relationship with KISS 98.7 at the time, but then also to get our artists out in front of a large audience, not only just club goers, but young kids and so forth. One of the first that we ever did was with Expose, when they did one of their first ever New York shows. And Laurie, if you remember that, it was a Saturday afternoon. We were out in Brooklyn, and
I have pictures.
You remember that?
And you would just show up, and as far as you could see for blocks,
a sea of people.
It was just a sea of humanity. It was a big deal. The radio station talked about it, and
we loved it.
I'll turn it over to Laurie.
Yeah, Laurie. Yeah, we had yet to let everybody know about Expose, but you're on the phone, so you tell us now. So ladies and gentlemen, on the phone is Laurie Miller from the group Expose.
That's so nice. You have to ask me some questions. Get started. I don't know where to begin.
We'll turn. Go ahead. No, we'll turn that over to Dave. You and David are going to rock this show. So go ahead. He's going to do the question.
So I can start.
Q&A.
I can start with the how the whole project kind of got going. It was first released on a label called Pantera Records down in Miami.
Yep.
And just like I was telling you before about George LeMond and hearing at a club, same thing kind of happened here. I was in a club called Cats, which is in Miami Beach, and the DJ
Grove.
Coconut Grove, exactly. Yep. And the DJ Rick Alonzo told me about the record and said, "Hey, I'm working on this record. It's called Point Over Tune by Exposed, not Expose."
That's right.
X-Posed.
It was hyphened.
On the Pantera label.
I got that
and
record.
I started hearing it down there, and it just like I had that same feel with Bad of the Heart, same thing with Point of No Return. Long story short, brought the record to Arista Records. Don Einer, Clive Davis heard it, really liked it. We signed it to a 12-inch deal. The record did well enough. We were able to do a second 12-inch called Exposed to Love, and then boom, got the vote for the album. But what made it special was it's one thing to hear a record and you really think, hey, this is a real hit. But it's another thing when you hear the rest of the material and you see the group perform and you meet the group, and then you realize, wow, this is a fantastic trio. These girls can sing, they can dance, they have the whole package.
They were great.
And
they still are.
And that proved to be the case from the get-go. And I remember the first time when performing at the Copacabana in New York City, the original Copacabana that night. And the place just, they blew the roof off the place.
They still do, Laurie. So, I mean.
And Laurie not only was a key element of the group, but did the choreography, did the costuming, did the styling and everything. The expose look she created.
Laurie, is this true?
It's absolutely true. And it was like a journey to get there because originally I was brought in style and choreograph the group. Ali was actually time. And Louis is conservative and he didn't want expose or expose. So the name is that it was an exposed. He didn't want it to be that because girlfriend. So we were more like the Pointer Sisters with pencil skirts and the updos and the little hats and all that stuff. And then when that kind of played out and Allie was no longer with me, well, I took a sister to all the costumes. And we became very exposed and very, because it was hot. We were dancing.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
It was great. And I was actually in my own top 40 band called Ecstasy, another EX.
That's interesting.
I was doing the choreography, so I was doing top 40 in clubs and choreographing backstage. And then it just turned out that I was another girl named Laurie Creevey, and I just her place, and she went on to do a whole acting career and a comedy career, and she was great, but she was like into another genre of performing.
Right.
That's how that happened. And then I just started painting on our faces and painting on our clothes and characters. Freed us to really, big on stage.
Yeah, you guys were definitely big, and I'll tell you, I'll share from my standpoint and historically and in retro. So freestyle is becoming, the new sound, and and you guys are the big performers, being everywhere. But as many freestyles artists as there are, and a lot of them here from New York, Expose did something that, and you did it early on, that a lot of freestyle artists had not yet done. Well, they were beginning to do, but you guys really, besides getting onto New York radio, you guys crossed over on a national level. And so tell us about that. You guys were really, like, even to this day, you could name, recognize a lot of freestyle artists, but a lot of people, you've asked them, give me top 3, freestyle. You guys are going to be in that list, top 3. So
yeah, it's also, it's kind of bittersweet for me in a way because the way it all sort of solved and line up without explanation or any happened like overnight. Nobody did that we did. Like everything was in place on the original lineup for we worked so much, and a lot of that I think had to do with Frank. Booked us, overbooked us actually. We were doing 3 or 4 shows in so and we were out all over a lot of our shows saw what was happening at the show. something about their mind. And then when we would perform it, and this was my argument I always had with Frank, because any bimbo can do this. Any singer can do it. I said, no, I don't think so. It was like something about that and the way we looked and the choreography. We had girls coming like dressed like us with the. It was very stylized. You saw us, right, with the makeup on the drawing on our face, and it was just an amazing time to have that kind of adulation and response to music, and the way that Louis used it and the way it sounded in the club. It just had to move.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. What a great sound too. And again, even to this day, again, a lot of music, but you guys are like, I worked at radio and New York's greatest hits, CBS FM. You guys still get played to this day. Expose still is in rotation.
Which version?
Is it you take?
I think it is.
I think it's Point of No Return.
Still the original version.
Yeah, Point of No Return. But you guys, but the fact remains that a lot of artists and how you are. If you ask people name, the top 100, greatest hit, dance artists, and you guys are be in there.
So cool.
Yeah. So
I think it's even really cool that there's a story behind it, and there's more than one version that actually works. Like of it, and now we've got a ballad of Point of Return that's so incredibly beautiful.
We got to hear this.
Yes. That's what I wanted to say was that Lori is still active to this day, still involved with music, still working with Louis Martinet. Could you tell a little bit more about this new single that you got and the name of the group?
Yeah. Well, we first came out as Exposed, and then we kind of got a little pushback from that because they felt it was Exposed, and we really don't want to interfere with what they're doing. Those girls are doing really well, and they're performing quite a bit. They felt like it was, and so they asked us to drop that name. So I was thinking about it, and Lucas wanted to call it Labor of Love, and I said, can't call it Labor. Okay, no way. It can't be Labor of Love. But I think because I just think of childbirth. I don't know, it's just not right. And I thought, what about baby? Like in the song, like, oh, baby, every time we sing that, everybody sings that, right?
Oh, that is true. Yeah.
Trademarked ourselves, oh, baby, and got these girls with us. And I went in and did the ballad version and all the new versions of Return. There's about 50 of it, and they're all like, Louis now is like at the height, it's his favorite version because got so much more equipment and education and learning behind it, and the ballad just came out so cool. And now he'll deny this, but I totally remember, and I'll say this to him, sitting there with him going, I always thought we should have done a country version in No Return. Like, Almond Road.
That was solid. I
saw him pause. Probably already had it in his head to do the ballad, but you have to hear it. I wish we could play it now. It's just so beautiful, and I get all my ahs and all my breathy work that I did with. I was always the girl that all those things. That was things that I added. Thank God. And
awesome.
all these.
We're definitely gonna get our hands on a copy. We're gonna get.
We got a show. Yeah, it's on YouTube Music. It's streaming everywhere.
Wow.
What's the name of it?
So it's the song Point of No Return.
Yeah.
About the a remake.
This time he said, I'm putting my name on it so I don't get bumped out because the other girls, he asked them to join us on this thing and remaking of the songs, but they weren't into it, which is okay. But it's under DJ Martinet and Obey.
Okay, so I was just gonna. All right, so we're actually looking it up on a YouTube channel here. So it's Point of No Return, and it's under DJ Martinet, which is Louis
with two E's.
With two E's at the end, and the group is so it's the same song, but the group is O-Baby.
I see it down there.
Jason is David
down
sees
one more.
it. One more. The red,
That's it. The red one.
The red and white.
That's it. Yep.
The soulful version.
The soulful. You know what? I think is that the soulful version? So Lori, hang on with us. Don't go anywhere. I think we're gonna be able to pop this over the air. So here we go. Oh, listen to this. So, ladies and gentlemen, the point of no return. Today's current ballot version.
I like it.
The group is called Oh Baby, and Lori Miller on the phone with us is a big part of this. Listen to this. Raise that. Wow.
Oh, I'll definitely play this.
Oh, man. Turn off the lights, get the blue on. This is excellent. Wow. Wait. It's Lori's part right there.
Sexy.
This is amazing. Sexy. Listen, for us DJs, Jason and I are still DJs, and your first clue are the goosebumps.
Oh, sweetness, sweetness, sweetness.
That's Ed Caillou.
Great job, great job.
That should be played at every anniversary, every wedding.
Oh my goodness.
Wonderful.
Lori, this is outstanding.
Thank you. So happy.
Don't touch that dial. Keep it locked on WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem.
This was amazing, Lori.
That was awesome.
That was that is
so much for playing that.
Listen,
amazing.
So you have to take us through that. Who was that vocalist?
That was Hernandez. She's our newest member. She's lovely, lovely. We're in rehearsal now, and that's me on the bridge and all the background vocals. It's basically her and I think Louis is in there too, somewhere in the the low
I heard. I was listening to that when in the track when it was playing. I heard you when you said the background and the vocals. Now tell me, where are we with the song? So it's on YouTube. How long has it been out? Where's it's getting? Go ahead.
Just released. in fact, we're having our release party for it on March 7th at a club called Cafe 27 here in Davie, Florida. And then we're doing Calle Ocho that Sunday on the 9th, where the original Expose did one of their first shows ever was at Calle Ocho.
Yeah.
So we just got moved to the main stage, and we're the closing act on the 9th. So we're excited about that.
That's awesome.
I'm excited. I'm curious to hear how the country version is going to sound now.
no, man. This is. I think this is the version. Of course, the original pop song. It's now a pop song. It was an original freestyle, but
we've got a booty mix that's what it calls it. That's really great. We got this rapper on it. He did this really clever thing where he reached out to all these great DJs, but he hired them pretty much to be a part of it and to do their own mix of it. He sent them all the stems, and so there's different versions of the song. So
that's awesome.
It's really clever of him to do that.
This was amazing. A very beautiful song. I loved it. I mean, again, for a DJ, the first indicator is the goosebumps.
Mm-hmm.
So and we've got goosebumps here. That was just awesome. You got to tell us more. We got to, we're going to get the information from David as well, and from you, all your stuff, what's happening to help you promote it, and definitely, I would love to hear that on a New York radio.
Yeah, New York. We worked so much in New York in the beginning. I mean,
absolutely.
I think it was really part of the beginning of really making us happen.
Yeah,
and then we went to LA.
Right.
And then we hit everything.
Mm-hmm.
So much.
Yeah, it's funny too because you guys are recognized. So Miami, Florida, it's a big home ground, and so a lot of I'm sure everybody down there is proud that music that is playing all over the country, all over the world, and that's home base, right? So Calle Ocho is perfect.
Well, you had your Casey and the Sunshine Bands, people like that, but when people talk about Miami sound.
Mm-hmm.
And what really came out of it, I mean, there's two artists that immediately come to mind, Expose and Miami Sound Machine. They really were the ones who brought the Miami sound to the rest of the country, that when we say that term, they have had that kind of lasting musical impact.
Right.
Yeah. Lori, and you were always an original member of Expose.
Yes.
From the beginning and to this day. So what can you tell us? I mean, I know there's been some band members. It's funny because you showed me a picture just recently.
Yes.
I
showed the photo of in '86, Point of No Return won Dance Record of the Year for 1985 at the National Dance Music Awards. Yeah. And the girls came up, they performed, they had a performance at one of the major clubs there that night. They were feted at the banquet that night with the National Dance Record of the Year. And I had just showed them before a photo of Lori, Ali.
Tell who we were up against?
It was against some big names at the time. Yep.
You Spin Me Round and
Dead or
Alive. I mean, on
Epic
Records.
Right. Yeah, I mean, huge records. They won Dance Record of the Year, which was just really special to be honored by your peers and then just to kind of wrap up that night, with the performance in front of a jam-packed club in Boston was just absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
So we're talking 45 years ago.
Yep, almost 40 years ago. Almost 40 years ago.
It seems like just yesterday, right?
Yep, yeah, almost.
Right?
Lori, and you're still performing, Lori.
And Lori's still performing,
right,
Lori?
At
a high level.
I've been performing all along. I went out and I'm a theater girl, and I 14 years doing my own one-woman show where I saluted Expose and also do all their big production shows. Love, because I got to sing so many different styles of a great opportunity and to travel the world and perform a lot. So I really got my chops together. But I think being part of the resurgence or bringing this look and the original version of Expose as Oh Baby back, it's such joy because there was so much joy in it when we were doing it. It was so exciting, and it was such an amazing time on the planet, in music, in Earth. It was just all those memories are still close to me. I'll never, somebody said, can't you just get over it?
Yeah, no. You see, but that's just it.
I don't think I'll ever get over it.
Not at all. And again, I need to reiterate the fact that, music, there are those one-hit wonders or music that's, comes and goes with a time, period or an era. But again, you're one of those songs and groups that is now from introduction and to this day is definitely, the test of time. You persevering and continues to be heard, and new generations exposed, and now you got new versions and freestyle here. I know there's a lot of freestyle concerts that go on, and I see your name, Expose as part of the lineup. So you're still doing a lot of that, correct?
Well, that's the girls now. That's Joya, Jeanette, and
okay.
They're outperforming quite a bit. They don't really acknowledge us that much as a whole other part of the story.
Right.
But
I understand.
they're doing great, and they're still. But I can get Louis right now. He just called me.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just let everybody know she's talking about Louis Martinet. Louis Martinet is another world famous DJ. Became an amazing, successful producer of a lot of the hits that you listen to.
I'll give you a little stat again, talking about statistics here or whatever. In 1987, Billboard always publishes their year-end top songwriters of the year, who had the most success in terms of charts of the songwriters, not the artists or the producers or whatever. And for 1987, number 3, I think it was Michael Jackson. Number 2, Bono and U2. Number 1 for the year, Louis Martinet.
Louis Martinet,
the most successful songwriter for that year, and amongst all these superstars, beating out Michael Jackson, who at that time had Bad.
It's astounding.
As the most successful songwriter of the year.
Yeah, information you don't get anywhere else.
Produce Jermaine Jackson. He produced Domino Dancing by the Pet Shop Boys. He produced Debbie Gibson. So he went on to have tremendous success above and beyond.
David's a walking encyclopedia. He's a walking encyclopedia.
It was
really,
wonderful seeing that. Myself being a huge Pet Shop Boys fan, when I heard that he was doing the Pet Shop Boys,
Domino Dancing,
got so excited. So
that is amazing.
There's just wonderful chart history there as well too.
What calls keep coming in. We got to get a multi-line phone because we got so many calls coming in. I had so much, Lori, and with Louis, and if you get him to call in, may call us back. That's fine. That'd be great. And when are you coming up? Anything? Really quickly, anything coming up that you're doing, or besides?
On March 7th, we have that show, and then on the 9th we're doing Coyote, and then we're going back and this is put together for us, and then we're probably going to do some of a few of the other ones like that most people would only remember if they heard the original group, like You Got Me Running and Extra. So I'm really trying to talk them into, and Love Is Our Destiny. All those songs that would have been the original girls.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Laurie, you've been amazing.
Thank you so
we can't thank you enough, and we wish we could just have you on, throughout the whole time. But you know what? I'm gonna get all your information from David, and we'll coordinate with David. We'll get you maybe, even to do what we're doing right now through a length of a show.
We'd love to.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Thank you,
Laurie.
so
thanks
much
for calling in.
Thanks, David.
Thank you.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, the original member of Expose, Laurie Miller, on the phone with us.
Yay.
Thank you so much. Awesome.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye. Good night.
Enjoy the sunshine. Who was on the phone? Somebody else was calling in.
Call back.
Call us back, please. The phones are lighting up. This is an amazing show. We're on the Mix Lab every Tuesday from 6 to 8 with Jason Rios. I'm Lefty Hernandez, and an amazing encyclopedia of knowledge is sitting right here with us. David Jurman with Columbia Records, Arista Records, his experience with so many worldwide artists. You mentioned George Michael. You have any experience with him?
Well, certainly George wasn't there for Faith. I was at Arista Records at the time, but then was there for Listen Without Prejudice, which had Freedom 90, Praying for Time.
Right.
Wasn't as big as the previous record, but George went off into a different artistic direction after that. He wanted to do something a little bit different, which artistically was great, but wasn't as commercial as successful as Faith.
Again, timing.
But still was a huge touring act.
Yeah.
And, had a great career until, sadly, died at such a young age.
I
remember it was like a Christmas Day, I think it was.
Yeah. About 2 years ago, or a couple of years ago, several years ago.
About maybe 7 years or so.
Was it that long?
I think it's been that while,
so fast.
But back to expose quickly, and I think it's important.
There's the call. Go ahead, you tell us.
Okay.
He's going to get the line. You tell us back to expose what you were saying.
Yes, so... this is also
caller. Hold on
the line, caller.
Another statistic that
this is Lewis.
Oh my God,
Lewis. Okay.
How you guys doing?
Hey, Lewis. We were just talking about the group, and I was just about to say what's special about Expose also is that they're in the history books. They're the first group.
This is what I mean.
In the history of the recording industry to have 4 top 10 hits off a debut album. Now, you ask that question to a musicologist,
Goosebumps.
They'll say, of course it's got to be the Beatles, or, hey, wasn't it the Supremes, right? Or the Rolling Stones.
Right. No.
None of them had 4 top 10 hits off a debut album.
Amazing.
Until Expose came along.
Yeah, amazing. This
With
is great
one
history.
song that became a #1 song, the 4th and final single off the album, Seasons Change.
Oh, what a great song.
But the story doesn't end there, because after that, 3 more top 10 hits off the next album. So they started off their career.
Lewis, stay with us.
Lewis wrote 7 top 10 hits to start off their career.
Oh my God! And
this Lewis right here.
This Lewis right here. So, ladies and gentlemen, again on the Mix Lab, David Jurman in the studio, on the phones. All these wonderful talents are calling, and right now, live with us on the phone is Louis Martinet, who we've been talking about, the original writer of many of the great songs that we listen to today. Expose is the group that we're talking about now, but Louis, you're going to tell us about some of the other groups, because I know you go back and some of the songs and the hits that many people know but don't realize that it's you. So welcome, Louis. Welcome to the Mix Lab.
Thank you.
Talk to us.
Thank you.
Talk to us.
So I wrote songs for a bunch of other 80s grooves. Plus I helped launch the career of Enrique Iglesias, Eddie Gibson, Vanessa Williams. So I did all the first recordings for these groups and artists, and a few other that I can't remember.
Jermaine Jackson, Pet Shop Boys.
Jermaine Jackson, Pet Shop Boys.
Don't worry, Dave.
Thank you.
David's here. David's here. Don't worry about it.
Guy.
He's a walking encyclopedia. This guy. Go ahead, Louis.
So it's a lot of fun, and I'm revamping some of the old songs with the new group, Oh Baby. With Lori, that I understand she was on a few minutes ago.
Yes.
And so I'm doing two remakes, but the next one's going to be an original, and the one after that might also be an original. Or another remix. So I'm playing around with that. But the third one's definitely going to be a new song that I wrote that's sounding really, really good.
That's awesome. And the song, and so you, Laurie told us about, Point of No Return. Today's version, it's a ballad. We just heard it. I don't know if you got to hear it. And we got to say, what an amazing remake of your original classic. It was, we're DJs still, Jason and I, and we're still performing as DJs. And when we heard it, and you too, because you're originally, you're old school DJ, right? You still,
I still DJ.
Right. And so that when you get goosebumps, that's your first indicator that it's a hit.
Thank you.
It's a hit, and so that was amazing. That was beautiful. So talk to us, man. Yeah. So you got all these things coming out. That was a great song. Where are we going with this song, though? That's just one of many. And are you going around to the stations across the country, clubs? What's happening?
Yeah. So I'm going to the stations. It's actually playing in a few stations in Europe already. So Europe is picking up on it quick. So hopefully America will, follow suit,
Well, you know how that is, right? That's always been the case, right? We really got to, really knock down doors to get stuff, listen to. But anyway, go ahead.
Well, especially when you're independent, because it's not going under Aris, it's going under my label. So it's a big difference.
Yeah, right. Which a lot more work.
I don't have the money that Arista has.
Right. Yeah. What it takes, the hustle, and the footwork. Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. So continue. Tell us more.
Also I put out a new song with Jermaine Jackson, with
Casey and the Sunshine Band. It's called "I Get to Love You."
I wanted,
So
you know
when
what?
get a
I was waiting for the Casey and the Sunshine part of the story because you're a part of that too, and tell us about that.
Yeah, so I mean, I've been a friend of Casey's for a long time. So we wrote a song together, and we might be working on another one. And that one's doing really well. ZYX in Europe picked it up. XYZ. I'm sorry, I would say it backwards.
Yeah.
Is it ZYX or XYZ? ZYX,
I know that here in New York there was a ZYX, but that was Harry Towers. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's the same label. That was the American. Site, but it's originally
right.
and still is a European label.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Yeah. So it's ZYX. Yeah.
Excellent. So if you get a chance, check it out. I mean, I think it's pretty good, and we got tons. I mean, Eric Kupper's got a mix, and a bunch of people did remixes on it because they're everybody knows Casey and loves Casey, so everybody wanted to jump on board and do remixes and help out with the song.
That's awesome. So we're gonna Jason and I are gonna make sure you have our numbers so that we can be added to that playlist of DJs and who want to work remixes. But
of course. Oh yeah.
So
thank you for your support.
Absolutely, and whatever we can do, we'll continue to do. And on that term, the fact that even though you're a songwriter and all these hits, and but as a DJ, do you still do any of your own remixes or any kind of work like that on the stuff that you produce?
Well, yeah. Well, if you I know was the first release with Oh Baby.
Yeah.
I mean, I did 4 remixes. I did the original one, which is like a new disco. I did a ballad on that one too. I did a ballad. I did like a street beat kind of mix.
Yeah, that's what
Lori
said.
Mix.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then I'm pouring and returning the same thing. I did the original, what I call the original. It's a new disco house that's they're really popular now, like Dua Lipa and things like that.
Wow, awesome.
And I did the ballad because I go, this song, I hear it as a ballad, and I always back in the day I always heard it that it could be a ballad, and then I did also a tech house mix and street beat mix. So even on my own productions I do remixes. But I had UU do a remix, and who else? The Club Jumpers did a remix. There's a couple of remixers on all the projects that help me out, that are work with me for years and years and years.
And Louis, and it's amazing, and back then, so if you'd have brought that out as a ballad, it probably would have had some challenging, moments. I don't know. I just because it's such a great song, it sounds wonderful today. But back then, the beat of the street, and the sound was different. It was unique. But also too, being that all these remixes that you just talked about, does that sometimes make it, more challenging, or does it complicate things? Like in a sense where you have a song like
no, not at all. No, it complements. Remixers always compliment, because they bring their own idea and vibe to the song, which I always enjoy. Hearing somebody's idea on my song. So I love to get my songs remixed. Anybody that wants to remix us, I tell them, yeah.
All right, you heard that, Jason? We're gonna get busy. Send us a track.
Yeah.
And we're gonna send us a track, Louis, and Jason and I will get busy and hit you with some remixes.
Fantastic.
David over here. David is the matchmaker, the producer. He's the director, the promoter, the encyclopedia. And Louis, so Louis, you're always in Florida, right?
No. Oh, and I forgot to say, Seventh Heaven. I got you guys know who Seventh Heaven is?
Yeah, the group Seventh Heaven.
Well, no, Seventh Heaven, not Heaven 17. Seventh Heaven.
No, not Heaven.
It's a group out of Europe. They're really good. They used to be Almighty before.
Seventh Heaven, but I remember back. Who were they? So they were somebody, and they changed their name.
No, they were Almighty, and now they changed their name to Seventh Heaven, and they used to be Almighty. You're thinking of Heaven 17. That's a different group.
No, it's funny because I got a picture. I'm holding a picture in my hand right now of Heaven 17. But no, I remember there was a back in like maybe the 90s. I thought there was a group called Seventh Heaven, but I may be wrong, or maybe something else.
No. Yeah, no. They're the production team is called Seventh Heaven, and
gotcha.
And they used to be called Almighty. They did all kinds of remixes in the 90s, and then in the 2000s, they changed the name to Seventh Heaven, just to get with the times.
Right. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. And again, so you are geographically, where are you these days?
Miami.
You're still in Miami. Yeah, you're in Miami base. Yeah. Always have been. I remember you used to come up to the record pool whether it was with the groups or the artists or yourself, and you'd come up and be with us when Eddie Rivera and I, when we were originally at 18th Street. So we're gonna get more information from you too, and I say that because
you have my number there because I called in, so that's my cell. Send me your information and I'll send you all the remixes that are and the original, everything that I got out now.
Awesome.
And so that you guys can check it out and play it if you can.
Absolutely. We're gonna stay close and stay connected. I'm gonna grab all the information from David, and I'm gonna make sure stay on top of the calls and the emails and exactly what we're talking about right now. And I can't thank you enough. I want everybody again. We thank you so much, Louis. We've got a little. This is a short show and also filled with a lot of information.
Because without Dave Jurman, none of this would have happened. Because he found us in Miami on a trip that he came to see his parents.
Yep.
And then that's how he found us.
He went to see his parents. He came home with a hit.
He went with Arista telling everybody, we got to sign this. We got to sign this.
He's amazing. Yep. He went to see his parents, and he came back with 50 years of history and tradition and
it was a productive trip.
And awards.
He's amazing.
He is. So, Louis, thank you. Louis Martinet, ladies and gentlemen, on the phone. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for calling in, Louis.
Thank you.
Thank you for your support.
Awesome. We still got more people calling in, too. Oh, this is amazing. Thanks again, Louis. All right, we've got we're waiting on someone else, so go ahead, and I think we're going to get him now because wait, I'm getting what's happening there? What is this? In the meantime, while we wait for the call, so we are the Mix Lab. It's a 2-hour show, and of course we are what are we doing? We are protesting and trying to get more time and make it this 4-hour and 5 days a week. But anyway, on this show we welcome everybody with an honorable badge, and so we'd like to present to you at this time this wonderful badge. It's our very own event staff. And welcome to the Mix Lab. We're here at WHCR. So, David Jurman, we present this to you.
Thank you so much. This is great. Love it.
And so we can't thank you enough.
The band here and everything. This is great.
Awesome. Now, we of course, this show, so much happens so fast, and we're at that point. But we've got a couple of minutes, and we want to see. So maybe go ahead and David, tell us a little bit, or even get call. Joey, are you out there? We're waiting for some people to call that said they were going to call because of the history that's here. It's amazing. So go ahead and give us a call, 212-650-6903. I'm going to see too also to see if I can send out a text. But in the meantime, talk to us.
Yeah, so I wanted just to also speak about a project I'm very involved with right now. And it's a book that Joey Carvello, many people know from an incredible recording career working for Atlantic Records and so many other different labels, WTG and the list goes on with his illustrious career. But now has turned author. He's written a wonderful book called The Boston Hustle, The Hairspray, The Cologne, The Disco, and The Betrayal. He's written with the gentleman Christopher R. Moore.
Is that a call?
And
nope, not anymore.
And the book is a wonderful throwback memoir of dance music in Boston in the 1970s. It's his story of his early career starting out as a DJ, but it's more than just a story about dance music in the 1970s in Boston. It also talks about the whole disco collapse in 79, the conspiracy behind it, a sociological look at what was going on in the country and music at the time. Incredibly well written. It's funny, it's poignant, and also it's just a terrific primer for, although it's set in Boston, a terrific primer for what dance music early days were. Incredibly well written. And the book is about 180 pages. So it's not a lengthy read, which is good.
It's a good coffee table book.
Highly engaging book. And I'm involved with this project right now as a publishing consultant for it.
Yeah, which we haven't even talked about the fact that we haven't even talked about that.
I'm just very, very pleased that this book is getting the kind of response that it's getting. And all credit to Joey and Christopher Moore, his co-writer.
Amazing. And you are a part. And again, so of course, David Jurman here with us, and we're talking about his career in music.
We got a caller on.
Yeah, we do?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't see the call.
Who's on the line?
What's going on with you hoodlums?
And speaking of the author, we're very pleased he's able to call in.
Oh, there it is. Ladies and gentlemen.
On the way. We better hide the stuff.
He said police are on the way. We're on the phone with us right here at the Mix Lab, Joey Carvello. Welcome, Joey. Welcome back.
Hey. Hi, fellas. How are you?
We're awesome, man.
My guy on there. You got Dave on there, huh?
Isn't he amazing? You know, so yeah, you know what? I'm going to turn it over to you and David.
Say, out of all the people I've known in the business all the years, there are a couple of knowledgeable people. I don't think there's nobody more knowledgeable about so many different subjects, but in particular music, and not just dance music, than David Jurman. David Jurman is like an he's a walking encyclopedia, and I'm lucky to have him as my consultant and partner on my book, Boston Hustle. So thank you, David. And I didn't catch much of the show. I'm home. But you're on with us now. Great so far.
Yeah, it's great, and congratulations to you on the book, the continued book there. And you and I'm gonna call you, over the next day or so, and we're gonna talk. We've been talking about projects here in New York, and you're doing things. I want to mention too that you're gonna be doing Mobile Monday. We talked about it, and there's a Mobile Mondays reunion.
Yeah, we got on the 28th, this Friday, as a matter of fact.
Day after tomorrow. A few days.
Will be there. This Friday, we are doing the Mobile Mondays reunion. For the first time since 2020, the Mobile Mondays All Stars, which is Natasha Diggs, Just Blaze,
right,
M's, Money Mike,
Misbehavior,
and myself.
Mm-hmm.
We'll all be getting together at 90 Scott out in Brooklyn with Soul in the Horn, Natasha Diggs' birthday. It's going to be a huge night. Barbara Tucker is in the house.
Wow.
We'll be performing.
Jason, we there.
Other big names will be coming through. I'm sure if you come by, you'll run into Norma Jean Wright and other artists that are hanging out.
She's just got a new release too, right? Norma Jean?
What's the date on that?
Friday, this Friday.
Norma Jean will be by. Yeah, Norma Jean, we talked, and coming through. She's got great new music.
Yeah.
Too.
Is that the one that Pinky just remixed? The one that Pinky mixed? No. Anyway, but that's fine. That's great. Well, yeah, so much great talent. So tell us more, Joey. You're on the air with David Jurman, your partner. Talk to us.
It's just like I said. This isn't about me. It's about Dave Jurman. And Dave Jurman is one of those guys that, whenever you mention Dave Jurman to somebody, they smile.
Yeah.
You go out. You mentioned Joey Carvello to like 15 people. You get 5 smiles. When you do it to 15 people with Dave Jurman, you get 15 smiles.
Oh, snap.
Well, I do want to mention
great guys in the business, very effective. I mean, come on, we worked for great labels. Give me a break. Stuff that he did, the acts that he worked.
Yeah, between the two of you, you guys ran the gamut.
Well, Joey, thank you for the kind words. And I got to tell you, we're talking about statistics before and facts about projects and stuff like that. To talk about this book and the acclaim that it's getting before it was even released, it was #1 pre-sales Amazon in their entertainment book section, which is just incredible. And the support it's been getting. Kiss 108, one of the biggest top 40 stations in the country, has had Joey on twice already to talk about the book. But I think what's even more impressive is the fact that NPR, National Public Radio, WBUR, arguably along with WNYC, the most influential NPR station in the country, has embraced this book with a huge feature about it. So the buzz just continues, and there's always a new thing that's happening with people embracing this book. It just continues to snowball in terms of enthusiasm.
Just listen to this
which
guy.
is just really fantastic.
That, David, that's a lot to do with you setting me up with several really, really great podcasts and just all the stuff that you do for me and with me. It's just amazing, and I appreciate it so much. And we're going to do it Friday night. We're going to take over that place Friday night.
That's it.
It's going to be everywhere.
Also around other parts of the country. So Joey's going to be, if you can talk about Miami as well, too.
For the conference?
Yes, Jelly Bean's opening up an amazing complex. You guys are going to have Jelly Bean on. You got to get him on there. He's opening up this amazing complex down in Miami, all vinyl. It's a club. It's a coffee shop. It's a retail store. It's a listening booth.
Oh yeah, you guys talked about that when I was on when you guys were on the interview back and forth on.
Yes.
Hold on. Did he say? Did you say Jelly Bean on vinyl?
Yeah. So they opened up a store. Go ahead.
Yeah, he's doing all vinyl. In fact, him and my son going through my collection. A couple of nights ago, he picked out a bunch of stuff, and now I'm letting him into the inner vault.
You guys talked about it. It's a coffee shop and vinyl shop.
Right? Going to get the really great stuff.
That's just fantastic. Oh my God, I'm telling you, you guys are the veterans. I love you guys for that, and that's why I'm so happy that we were able to get you guys here, because you are the makers, the breakers, the shakers. You're the doers. This guy right here, I swear, I'm going to vote for him.
I'm telling you.
Well, the interview that we were talking about before is called The Smartest People in the Room.
Right.
And it's Joey and Jelly Bean for a 1-hour conversation going back and forth, talking about their careers, talking about the book. You can find it on YouTube.
Yeah.
So just go to Smartest People in the Room.
I was there
and
live.
you'll see the whole thing. And it's really just makes for very, very engaging viewing and listening. It was excellent.
Yeah, Joey. So, yeah, Joey, of course, ran wild while Jelly Bean was just chilling, being the quiet.
I did.
I was there.
Everybody, I would.
We should air it here.
Listen, you guys, all you guys, if anybody has me do something, what do you expect? Follow the breadcrumbs to the maniac that you're working with.
That's right. That's right.
I help how I am.
That's right. We don't have to worry, as far as finding you or that's easy. When people say, "Where's Joey? How do we find him?" Relax. It's easy.
I'm everywhere.
Just click the heel 3 times.
Guys, thank you for having David on, my partner. I appreciate him. I hope everybody out there appreciates how much and how hard he's worked in this business over the years. And it continues. There's
awesome.
a lot more coming down the pipe.
There definitely is.
And Dave Jurman will be on my hip all the way.
That's awesome. Joey, we love you. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight.
Hey, Jay, what's going on, babe?
Yeah, awesome.
Have a good one.
Yeah.
Thanks for calling in, Joey.
Joey, I'm gonna call you, of course, off the air. Not tonight, but the next few days.
Friday night. Let me know.
Yep. Tomorrow.
Let me know what's up.
I'll give you a buzz tomorrow.
Blessings, brother. Blessings.
Absolutely. I've
right.
got room on the list. Call me.
Love and peace.
Okay.
Good night.
Thanks again.
New York.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, guys,
what an amazing
we got
show.
like 7 minutes.
I don't want to hear it. Give it to David. Give it to David. Look, I got pictures. But it has nothing. I mean, this is all random. We talk about the record pool. What an amazing night. And again, all these guests that we had on that we didn't expect. And the only reason they were here is because of this man sitting here with us. So if you guys are just tuned in, sorry to hear that. You should have been locked on 2 hours ago. But we are here in the studio with David Jurman, legendary industry professional. The guy is just, oh my God, I don't know where to begin. When we started talking about, who he is and where he come from, but the man is just, he's a genius. I love it. I know David a long time. Thank you, David. It's such an honor and a pleasure to have you, to be a part of your life and to also have you in mine. And it's always been that way. And it just seems today to just really growing so much more and tenfold and getting better. And I'm so grateful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you to you both, because you two with this show are keeping dance music alive, keeping the music alive. I think it's important not only just for us folks, but the younger folks to be educated on these things. And thanks to you guys, that's happening, bringing these people to the attention of a whole new generation of people to know that there are people who were trailblazers and still are doing things out there. And shows like this that really accentuate that. So tip of the cap to both of you.
Thank you so much.
We really appreciate that, because that's what our plan was. This is exactly what we wanted to do, and and it's funny because it's like this was already it's like not even it's God's plan. It's like He said, you know what, you guys are gonna link up, you guys are gonna do this, you guys are gonna have these people come on. And it's just like it's taking that snowball effect,
direction.
Right.
And you also know too that in today's world it's more difficult, even though with social media, but still everyone, it's just so far apart. Everything is so individually far apart. And what we do, and with people like you, is we want to pull it all back in and rein it back in and really get the connections close together again and keep it connected, because they're out there and there's a lot of connections, but like you just said, everybody's doing their thing, but we all got to figure out or chase to see where is everybody and who's doing what. What we're trying to do is pull it all back in together and make it public knowledge, public awareness. And thank you for being a part of that and helping us to do that. Awesome.
And also what you're doing at the club level with the COPA and things like that too is really important as well.
Yeah. So, we were just talking about how we're trying to figure out how to use those platforms more efficiently, more effectively, because it's also not easy. There's a lot of events that go on, and so if you got a room that fills 100, 200 people, you got to compete and how to get how to fill the room room, and so it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and so but people like you make things happen, and so I'm gonna stay close to you.
And ditto on my end too. Absolutely.
Oh my God, where are we at? What time is it? I don't want to end. I don't want to go home.
You know that's all wherever you go. Wherever you do.
I do want to say this. Above and beyond DJs being people who break records, I've always said that DJs also play an important role in breaking artists. And that's why I have such enormous respect for club DJs and mix show DJs, because they're the first to take a chance on a lot of records before radio, et cetera, or whatever. So it starts there. But they're also part of the building block of building an artist's career. Right. Expose is a textbook example of that, but we could talk about numerous artists about that. I think that's a very important thing. It's great you're having some of these different DJs come on the show as well, too, because they have played an important role, Ray Velasquez, etc., in breaking artists as well as breaking records.
He was just on, and he talked about a record that he's just releasing and mixed on. I think it was Norma Jean. Was it? But and also we didn't get a chance to talk about the fact that even though to promote and to do that, the medium, today's medium, what's being used, the digital, and there's a lot out there, and the oversaturation. So there's a lot of filtering that needs to be done, in order to pull out that hit, pull out those artists, to get them out, to get them away, publicized. So that's a lot of work, and you're the man that can help just find what is that? Just really tune in on that. Yeah, fine tune it. We got to fine tune that, and so. Oh my goodness, David! We want more. We want more. We want more, man. It's like I want to stretch this to the very end. So
I do want to just mention, because you asked about this before, about what I'm wearing here.
Oh yeah, I wore
this garb here.
I was looking
in tribute to the record companies that I owe a tremendous debt of gratitude to be involved with. So this is a shirt from a group called Haircut 100.
Love the group.
Sadly, they only had one album that came out on Aris Records called Pelican West, but what an album it was!
And
it had
Shattered
two
Dreams,
big hits called.
One
was called Love Plus One. And then it was called Favorite Shirt, Boy Meets Girl.
I got it in my song.
And after 42 years being away from playing in America, they did a tour last year with ABC and Howard Jones. I had a chance to meet up with the band after all these years and reconnect with them. And I was just so happy to see that they had got back together and are touring and out there and promoting that record. And the response to them was like they had just played, yesterday. It was incredible. It was unbelievable. They were one of my favorite groups that I was with there. So I wore this shirt in honor of them. And then to my Columbia years, again, a very favorite artist of mine. And it was very gratifying to see this artist break through, because he was kind of an unconventional artist. And that's Jamiroquai, which is actually a group as well, too. So this is a Jamiroquai hat.
Oh, nice.
Jamiroquai is a great artist.
Which was a fantastic group. JK, who basically is the leader of the group, founded the band, and they finally broke through with a song called Virtual Insanity. But to be there from day one with songs like from their first album, When You Gonna Learn and stuff like that, was really, really special. So they were a fun band to be involved with, both from the UK. So I kind of, to tribute both labels, wore this garb.
That's awesome.
Today.
That is really great. And look what I have in my iTunes right here. I wish we could play it. Nikki Hayward, Haircut 100, the very best of.
Yes.
I remember playing them when I was at college radio, and I love that song to this day. And because of the sax, that sax in the song.
They had this kind of jazz funk feel to them.
Hello, guys.
What is it? That time?
Now it's time to say goodbye.
No, we don't want to go.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Lem. It's been a real honor to be on the show. Really enjoyed it tremendously.
Thank you for blessing.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, everybody. So
guys,
thanks for tuning in.
Every Tuesday from 6 to 8, and we got some amazing people coming up soon. We got DJ Warren of Brooklyn. We have Brian Chin of Billboard, Nordy Codal, Deuce Martinez, Bobby Morales, Carlos Barrios. These guys are all going to be coming through here in the Mix Lab. So you guys got to stay tuned in.
Thank you
Lab
so
on
much.
WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem.
Jason Rios. I'm Lefty Hernandez.
All right. I forgot about me. Right.
Right. Well,
once again, David, thank you
so much.
Thank you so much,
David Jurman. Thank you for being here with us, and we'll see you on the radio. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in.